So guys, in today's video, we are back on the 2013 BRZ. We will finally be doing a spark plug replacement on this vehicle. I know for years, you guys have been asking me for a DIY guide for spark plug replacement on BRZ, FRS, GT86, and GR86. And finally, we are gonna get into it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this repair. So guys, I know that the spark plug replacement on these particular cars can be a little bit daunting, as in the factory service manual, it tells you that you need to lift the engine. We're not gonna be doing that today. The only thing we've done is lifted the car up on jack stands so I don't have to cripple myself by bending down so far on this low riding car to get to where the spark plugs are and where we're gonna be working. Today, we are finally gonna be doing a head-to-head comparison. We're gonna be doing a tool comparison while we're doing this job. We're gonna be taking the Tone PG86S set specifically for this vehicle and the KTC ATP BRZ 8603, I think is the part number. Gonna try both of them. Gonna use one on each side of the engine and see which one is easier to use, which one makes the process easier to get the spark plug out and back in, and let you guys know which one of these two kits is the one to get. And of course, factory Subaru spark plugs. We're using a 22401 AA801. Purchase link for these spark plugs will be in the description below. For those of you interested, we'll also leave a link for the two sets we will be using for the spark plugs. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're probably going to be jumping on the driver's side. For the driver's side, it looks intimidating here. All we really need to do is get this fuel rail cover off. Should be two 12mm headed bolts, one in the corner here, one back here. And we got a 10 here holding this little bracket for the wiring harness. And then when we move over to the passenger side, all we really need to do is move the PCM, which is held in place with three 10mm headed bolts, and we can tilt that back. With that said, let's go ahead and get in here and start on the driver's side. So guys, apologies in advance. It is extremely tight in here, and there's only so much I can show you. So far, I can get the camera in to show you. So apologies in advance for that, but I'll do the best I can. So we pop that 10 off, push that bracket and that wiring harness back. And we got a 12mm up front here. And we got a 12 back here at the back. With those out of the way, we should be able to lift the fuel rail up, or the fuel rail cover, and wiggle it out towards the back. Just like so. Now that fuel rail cover's out of the way, we got just enough room to sneak down here and get at our coil packs and spark plugs. All right, so now I can reach down here and remove the two 10mm headed bolts that hold the ignition coils in place. There's one. And two. We'll pull our coils out now. And try to disconnect our electrical connector for our rear coil. Now that that's disconnected, should be able to wiggle our ignition coil out. Just like so. And pull out our front ignition coil. and tuck it back to the back and leave the harness connected to it. Now we can take our spark plug socket, included U-joint and extension, drop it in for that first plug. And plop our ratchet onto the end. And first spark plug is out. And now we can drop in and pull our second spark plug out. And second spark plug is out. So old versus new spark plug, ready to put the new ones in. Go ahead and drop in our new rear plug. And now we sneak in our forward spark plug. All right, now that both our spark plugs are in, we need to torque them to 17 Newton meters. And torque and spec. Now we can put our coil packs back in place. Plug up our rear coil pack. Put our coil pack bolts back in. Now I can come back in with our fuel rail cover. Now that your fuel rail cover is back in place, go ahead, put our bolts back in. And driver side done. Now on to the passenger side. So guys, on to the passenger side. As I said, 3 10mm headed bolts hold the PCM in place. Go ahead and get it loose and get it out of our way. All we're going to do is take the PCM, keep it hooked up. We're going to take loose our hose on the little sound generator. I'm going to take this wiring harness here. I'm going to take it loose there. Take it loose here. And we're going to tuck our PCM back out of the way like so, and that should give us plenty of room to get down here for our coil packs and spark plugs on this side. So it appears I lost a little bit of footage there. All we did was take the 2 10mm headed bolts out for the ignition coils. We've disconnected the pigtail back here on the rear one, as we did the same on the driver's side. And now we're going to disconnect that pigtail fully and pull the ignition coil out. Just like so. And we'll pull our front coil out. And we'll throw it back towards the back with the PCM. Just to get it out of our way. And then we'll go off our spark plug socket and extension. Again, using the Tone set for this side. The thing about the Tone set is we can throw a ratcheting wrench over the extension and saves us a lot of room over having to put a ratchet on the end of the extension. And as that assembly works its way out, we can break off our little extensions. As they get close to the frame rail there. And first plug's out. And drop back for the second plug. And spark plug number 2 out. And there we are. Tone set definitely has an advantage with being able to put a wrench on the outside, but it is a lot harder to separate those extensions when you're down in there. At least with the KTC, you can pretty much pull the entire assembly out assembled without having to break everything down. New plug going in the back. That said, it is a nice little system. And I do like that it's all straight extensions, there's no wobble, and there's no universal joint. So you don't have to really worry about getting that spark plug cross-threaded starting, because you're gonna be straight on it. I gotta say, this little Koken Z-Series 3/8 compact ratchet definitely helps on the BRZ, FRS, GT86, GR86 spark plugs. Especially this one, which is the new 72.2 version. Guys, again, apologies for video quality, and I'm sure it's a lot of out of focus stuff because of how deep in the engine bay or down in the engine some of this stuff is. So again, apologies for that. Really hard to show this stuff off, as tight and cramped as it is in here. All right, got her snugged up. We'll go ahead and torque it to 17 Newton meters. Gotta say, the old tech angle definitely fits in here with this setup a lot easier than with the KTC setup. And 17 Newton meters. And in we go with the last spark plug. And 17 Newton meters. And we are set. All right, now we can swing our coil packs back into place. And start our 10 mil coil bolt. Grab our other coil pack. Swing it down into position. Remember to plug our pigtail back up. Put our coil hold down bolt in. Now we can swing our PCM back into place and bolt it back in. Bring our tube back up to our noise generator. Pop our harness back into place. And clip it in place like so. And we are done. And there you go, guys. Subaru BRZ, Toyota GR and GT86, and Scion FRS spark plugs easily without having to lift the engine up. We used the Tone set, we used the KTC set. Both have pros and cons. I liked about the KTC set that you could get the entire assembly to go down in there without having to piecemeal it together in the cylinder head. I liked about the Tone that you had the little pieces to pop off and it was straight on. Also liked that there was the outer bolster where you could get a wrench on there rather than a ratchet, saving space. That said, it was more aggravating having to break apart the Tone pieces as they came out, but at least when you torqued, it was straight on. There was no wobble and no universal in the way, getting your torque wrench off kilter like with the KTC set. So what do I prefer? I don't have an answer. I bought both, I have both, I'll use both, and a little bit more down the line, I guess I'll make a definitive ruling over which I grab more, the Tone or the KTC. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one.